This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, welcome to today's session. In yesterday's session, we have discussed about data type and how do we create a data type and what are the how do we have a parent, child, the relation, all these things. We have seen reference and all these things. Any questions on that? You guys are practiced from your end with your own scenario. You haven't tried to practice. If you practice, then only you will understand these concepts, or else it will be difficult for you to follow these concepts. Definitely, you will forget, and then after a few days, you don't know or you don't understand how to work on this again. Okay, because this is not something that you do daily. This is something that you're learning for the first time, right? So better you practice, then only it will be easy for you to remember and work on this. Fine. I've shared my screen. Let me know if you're able to see it. Oh, fine. All our software components has been removed. Very good. So yesterday we created these data types, right? So someone has removed all the software components here. So we have to create a new ones again. Okay. So we will use this version, software component version Vasista that is already created here, and then we'll try to create a new namespace under this, and then create the objects like we discussed yesterday. Okay, we'll create a new namespace here. URN colon SAP training colon home. Okay, fine. Under this, I'll create another folder. Um, okay, I've created one folder called file interface, and then I'll activate it, and then I'll create my data type. What are the objects that I need? As we discussed yesterday, we need data type, message type, all these things, right? So we create one data type. No, okay, with two data types. One is for sender and one is for receiver. So till here we have discussed yesterday, right? So how to create data type and all these things. DT underscore sender underscore file interface. Okay, we'll try to add a record. Can someone tell me what are the things that we need to do here one by one? Because I have already explained yesterday.
We need to insert a new record there actually,
New record or new
or
element
sub
or new
element.
sub element?
New sub element. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Well, okay. And these are my fields for my sender. What I have to do
Yeah.
now?
Uh, Data type should be string there.
Okay, data type should be
String.
okay. Next,
And occurrence should be 0 to 1.
y0 to 1.
Uh, it should be, you know, the field should be empty, or it should be, like filled with anything.
Hmm. So at the field level, you will be having two options. Either you can have it as a 0 to 1
Yeah.
or 1 to 1 also. Okay,
Mm.
0 to 1 or
Yeah.
1 to 1. Anything you can use. But it's not that you are not supposed to use 0 to unbounded. You can use 0 to unbounded also for field. But it's not an ideal case for you. Why? I told you yesterday. If you see the data here, you get this is your first record, so you get a first name only once, not more than that, right? You don't get it multiple times in the single record. That's why we try to restrict the occurrence as a 0 to 1 or 1 to 1. That's it. Okay, for fields.
Yeah.
Whereas
Okay.
you get the records multiple times, right? That's why we give it as a 0 to unbounded or 1 to unbounded. You are getting multiple records here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah. So here we get insert element, first name, last name. Okay, we'll copy this node. Insert node, insert node. Okay, I'll change the values here. Location, company. Okay, yeah, so this is my sender. Then I'll create one more for my receiver. So I can create new or I can create a copy object. But I'll change the name. When you do a copy object, make sure that you change the name, or else it will not allow you to create the object. So then if I copy the object, I'll get the same thing like this. I'll just remove this because I don't want this, delete row. And then instead of last name, I'll keep it as name. So that's the configuration for my receiver, right? For my receiver, I this is my target, right? I have name, location, and company. That's it. Okay, name, location, and company. Okay. So next thing is oh, sorry, I created this under I created this outside folder. That's why you can see this is not under the folder, but it got created outside folder. But I'll try to create it inside the folder here. Again, now it's a different name. Okay, so I've created it for sender and target. I've created both, and I'll delete this now, which I don't need. So for that, you can right click and click on delete here. It will get deleted, but it is not permanently deleted for you. It is temporarily deleted. For you to delete it permanently, you have to go to change list. You have to go to the change list of your user. PI is my user. and then you have to expand it, then you will be able to see. So under change list, if you see any object with the name as into mark here, it means you have deleted it, and it is not yet completely deleted. If you want, you can delete it completely. So to delete it permanently, you have to right click here and then click on activate. Then it will be permanently deleted for you from your PI application. Okay. So we have created data type, message type, sorry, data types for both sender and target. And then now we will create message types. Okay. So for that, we will create one sender message type here, empty underscore sender underscore file interface. Okay. So we'll add it to that folder, file interface. So here, as I told you, we don't create the structure here again, wherein we refer to any existing data type. So what is the data type that I want to use? I would like to use a data type as a dt underscore sender underscore file. Okay. So this is the data type I am referring to, where you can see the same structure is visible here for you. So I'll activate it. Similarly, I create one more message type. Okay, empty underscore receiver underscore file interface, where I will be referring to the target structure or the receiver structure here. Okay. Now I create a data type, message type, and then the next one is I can create message mapping now. Okay. So I can create service interface also, but we'll create service interface later, wherein for you to create message mapping, you need message type, right? So we already have the message types. So we'll try to create a message mapping now. Okay. So for that, you can click on new and then go to mapping objects, select message mapping, underscore uh, file interface. Okay. You can provide any name that is relevant here. And then if you see here, it is asking you have two sections here. One is source. One section on the left side is related to source. The other section on the right side is related to target. Okay. So this source is nothing but you have to refer to the source structure that you are expecting, and this target is nothing but you have to refer to the target structure that you would like to send the data. So what is our source? So what is that you can use here? You can use message type. So what is our source? This is empty underscore sender underscore file name. So there are two ways for you to refer to this here. One is you can drag and drop the corresponding object here. You can see it automatically reflected. Or the second option is you can go to signature. You can see earlier it was empty. Once you drag and drop it here, okay, once you drag and drop it here, automatically you can see the details here. But on the right side is it is empty still because you don't have anything. So again, you can drag and drop the corresponding one here, or else you can select it from here. Okay. So now you can see both the source and target structures, and then you can map it one accordingly. So in this case, I will map my empty underscore sender file name to empty underscore receiver file interface, record to record. How do we map these? What is the context? All these things I'll explain it later when we talk about message mapping in detail. Okay, so don't worry now. I'll map field to field for now, location to location, company to company, and then what I'll do for name, I would like to have first name and last name both, right? So that is my requirement, right?
How you're mapping those elements here, you're just double clicking on that, right?
Yes, you can map it in multiple ways. So there are multiple ways for you. So right now, nothing is mapped at the field level or node level also. I'll remove it everything for you. So right now nothing is mapped for you. That's why you can see all these are in gray color. Okay. So for you to map, what you can do, you can click on the field name on the left side. Okay. Drag it. Okay. Like this, and drop it on the target side, whichever the field that is relevant. Now you can see
Okay.
both the company to company got mapped, or else you have other option. Double click on the right side field. Okay. You will get this field in the graphical editor on the below. When you double click on the right side field, you will get the corresponding mapping. What you have, if there is no mapping, you will get an empty like this. Then you are again double click on the corresponding field from the left side. You will get it like this, and then you map it like this. Okay, so
Okay.
that is the
Yeah.
other way for you. Okay, yeah. So now in this case, I want name, which is a concatenation of both first name and last name. So I selected both the first name and last name from left side, and I selected my name here, and then I'll use a concat function. Okay, I'll use a concat function. I'll explain you later what are these functions, how these functions will help you. Okay, will work. So this is how I mapped first name and last name to name. And I would like to have these records as many times as my source, right? So I'll map record to record. Okay. So this is the mapping that we can do, a simple mapping for our requirement where we would like to convert the data from one structure to another structure here. Okay. Once it is done, you can activate it. Yeah. So now we are done with data type, message type, service interface, and all these things. Sorry, message mapping, right? So next one is we'll go with service interface. Okay, we'll see what is a service interface and how it will work for you. Okay, basically service interface is an object similar to message type, data type, and all these things, which will be referring to a particular schema. Okay, let me create a service interface here. Si underscore file interface underscore out. Okay, so why I have given out, because I'm going to create the service interface as outbound type, category as outbound category. Okay, I'll explain you in this way. Service interface will be of two types: outbound and inbound. Okay, what does outbound mean? Outbound means service interface are used to represent represent sender. Okay, inbound means service interface used to represent receiver. Okay, so outbound service interface, when someone tell you that when someone is talking to you about outbound service interface, it means they are talking about the service interface that is being used for sender communication, or to refer to the sender structure or anything like that. Okay, if it is an inbound, then it means they are talking about a receiver communication, or the service interface that is referring to a receiver schema or structure like that. Okay, again, each service interface, either it is an outbound or inbound, it will be of two types. One is async, another one is sync. Okay, similarly you'll be having the same here also. One is async, second one is sync. Okay, yeah. So what do you mean by async and sync? Let us assume that your interface, you would like to have it as a synchronous communication, where you will be sending a request. Okay, your sender will be sending a request, and you'll be sending the same data to your receiver, and you will be expecting a response. You'll be sending it back to your sender. So it's a two-way communication where a request will be sent from sender to receiver via PI, and then a response also will be sent from receiver to sender via PI. So it's a two-way communication between both the parties using PI. So that's why we call it as a synchronous communication. Whereas for asynchronous, it means it's a one-way communication where you will be sending a request from your sender to receiver via PA. That's it. It will stop there. You won't get any response for you. Okay. So depending on your interface, you have to define the service interface with the corresponding category mode also. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to create a service interface for my sender. So I'll select the category as outbound, and this is an asynchronous. That's why I select the category as asynchronous here. It's a one-way communication. Now under request here, you can see here it is asking you for message type. So you can provide the corresponding message type, the message type that is related to sender. Okay, so this is my message type that is related to sender. Save and activate, and then I'll create one more service interface. So this time I'll give it as IN inbound, okay, where I will be using a inbound category here for asynchronous, and I'll be selecting the receiver message type. So this is for my receiver, okay. Okay, fine. Now we have created a service interface for sender and receiver. Okay. Now we can create like mm, operation mapping. Okay, using the service interfaces. So that's what I told you, right? For you to create operation mapping, okay, sorry, it's not message mapping here. Yeah, message mapping will be used. The same time, for you to create operation mapping, service interface is needed. Okay. So for now, you understand that service interface is needed for you. There are cases where we create operation mapping without service interface by referring to different objects. Also, we create message mapping not only with the message types, we create it with different object types also. But for now, according to your understanding, we are talking about only data type, message type, service interface, right? So that's why you just for now you understand that for you to create operation mapping, you need service interface. Okay. There are other ways. We'll talk about them later. So OM underscore file interface. Okay. So now it will ask you for source operation and target operation. Source operation is nothing but your source service interface or the sender service interface. Target operation is nothing but your receiver service interface. So again, same way, you can drag and drop here. You can drag and drop the corresponding operation here. It will get automatically filled, or else you can select the corresponding one like this. Okay. Once you have selected, you have to click on read operations. Every time when you change anything or when you're referring to new one, better you click on read operations every time, so that the latest one will be appeared here for you. You can see under this service interface what is the object we are referring to. This is the object we are referring to. Okay, you can see that here. So now if you observe, we will be selecting the message mapping. So what is the corresponding message mapping that we have with this sender object? So this is the message mapping, right? So you are able to see that here. So these are all interrelated. So that's why uh, we have to make sure that all are in place for you. Okay, all are available. So you have created the message mapping and activated. So this is how we create all the objects that are needed for our requirement that we discussed, where we will be PA has to pick a file where your file format, your source data will be in this format or this schema, and then PA has to place the file in a separate folder where your target file should be in this format. Okay, so accordingly we have created all the objects. and service interfaces, mappings, and all these objects in ESR. So these are the objects that we need for this interface when it comes to ESR. Any questions?
Yeah, Shravan, why we need both message and operation mappings around?
Huh. Because message mapping is something that you create to apply validations at the data level, wherein operation mapping is something that you don't apply any data validations. You just refer to the message mapping that you have created. Why you need operation mapping is, if you observe here, you created data type. Did you use this? The purpose of data type is to define one structure, but are you using data type anywhere directly in your mapping? No, we are using message type in our message mapping to refer the structure, right? Because message mapping will not give you option to select data type here. You don't have data type option. You have message type, IDOC, RFC, external message. You don't have data type. That's why we need message type to uh, refer to the corresponding structure. Okay, one second. Okay, so that's why we need a message type to create a message mapping. Similarly, we don't use message type directly in our ID, wherein whatever the operation mapping that we have created, so you need one link, right? So these ESR objects are separate and ID objects are separate, right? So the ID objects that we are going to create tomorrow, they will be separate again. Okay, so these are separate and these are separate for you. Okay, so then what is the link between ID objects and ESR objects? So this operation mapping acts as a link between your ID objects and ESR objects, where you will be referring the operation mapping that you have created in ESR here in your ID objects, so that during runtime this operation mapping will be called. When this operation mapping will be called, this service interfaces will be called, and the corresponding message mapping will be called. When this message mapping will be called, your corresponding validations that you have done, that will be called, and your data will get transferred from this format to this format, and then the output of your operation mapping will be this data. So like that, during runtime, this is how the correlation works during your ID objects with your ID objects and ESR objects. That's why we create operation mapping even though we have message mapping. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Okay then. So that's it about ESR objects that we need to create as part of our interface. So you know what is the requirement and what is the structure that we discussed, and what are the objects that you need that needs to be created. How do we create them? So you create similar kind of objects from your end for tomorrow's session, and then we'll see how what are the objects that you have created. Then we'll talk about ID objects in tomorrow's session. Okay, so that's it for today. We'll connect again in tomorrow's session. Yeah. So for tomorrow's session, you create these objects and let me know. I'll see what are the objects that you have created and what is the schema that you have used. Okay then. Thank you all for your time. I will connect again in tomorrow's session.